The Trump administration has been defying orders from federal judges ever since they basically got their first ruling against them this year. We have watched it happen time after time after time. It doesn't matter. Republican-appointed judges, they're going to ignore them. Democratic-appointed judges, we're going to ignore them. We're just going to ignore everybody and do whatever the hell we want to do, including the Supreme Court. And the courts do have remedies. They have two potential options here. We can hit you with criminal contempt charges, which would do absolutely nothing because Donald Trump would issue a pardon and there you go, nothing happens. Or we could do civil contempt. Civil contempt, Donald Trump cannot save himself or his administration from. Civil contempt, of course, would not result in anybody facing charges or going to jail, but it would potentially drain them of their resources. They can be fined. They can have their assets frozen until such time as they comply with the court orders. They could have all of those things and more happen. They could lose money and lose the ability to even access their money. And according to legal expert Lisa Rubin, the day might be just around the corner. Now, in my opinion, don't hold your breath on it, folks, but we do have one judge, Judge Royce Lamberth, who earlier this year, all the way back in the springtime, issued a ruling against the Trump administration with regard to their attempts to shut down the Voice of America, which of course is being run by Kari Lake. Now, in addition to the judge in the ruling basically saying Kari Lake is completely incompetent and has no abilities, the judge also said, you can't fire these people. You can't reallocate the resources that have already been allocated by Congress. That's illegal. Stop firing everybody. Stop shutting it down. And the administration, of course, did not do that. They continued firing people. They continued their attempts to shut it down. And instead, they've replaced the programming, I think, with what, Newsmax, is it? Or One America? One of those. They've replaced most of the programming with just off-the-shelf conservative media. And at the time, the judge had mentioned, I can hold you in civil contempt. And I'm getting kind of tempted to do that because you guys are ignoring me. This was back in April. So a lot of time has ticked by. The administration is still not complying with that judicial order, even though several other orders have come out, once again instructing them to comply, telling them to stop doing the new things they're trying to do. And so far, nothing. But according to Rubin, there could be a civil contempt hearing because they've had contempt for the government's orders to provide additional information as well as comply with that April order, ordering them to restore certain programming. He has found that in a variety of different ways, they've not only failed to do that, but they've taken opposite actions. She said stripping Voice of America staff of their civil service protections, which would allow them to move forward with reductions in force that are contrary to being able to restore that programming. That's one of the examples she cited of the new activities they've done since the order. So yeah, but I do have to mention this too. I would love to see the civil contempt. I would love to see Judge Lamberth do this. But I think Lisa Rubin's a little bit more optimistic than me. Or maybe she's not even optimistic. Maybe she's just laying out that, hey, this is a thing that he said we would do and he still hasn't done it. I don't know. But I don't know that we will hit that day. You know, I talked in a segment earlier today about the federal judge, Judge William Young, who totally blasted this administration. You know, stood tall, stood firm, did all of these things. That judge, I think, would do civil contempt charges if necessary. Lamberth, who I have talked about in the past, I think Lamberth is a good judge. I don't know if we will get the civil contempt. Obviously, it's October. You threatened this in April. You know, what's the holdup here? Let's do this if we're going to do it. Don't threaten something and not follow through. That makes you look even weaker. So I don't have faith. I don't think this is going to happen. I would love for it to. Legally speaking, it should happen, but it's not going to happen. But I do have to point out what Lamberth said about Kari Lake. Kari Lake and her brazen disinterest in the unambiguous statutory obligations implicates her competence to implement the president's directives in a manner consistent with fundamental tenets of administrative law. And Rubin said, this was a nice way of saying you don't have the foggiest idea what you're doing, and that's a real problem under the law. It is a real problem. Judge, you know you're dealing with incompetent people who can't even understand the words that you used to tell them they're incompetent. Civil contempt. Lock up Kari Lake's personal finances until her department starts complying. You have the authority to do that right this second. So, on behalf of everybody in the country, what the hell are you waiting for?
Thanks for watching, everyone. You know, we're inching closer and closer to 1 million subscribers, and we're aiming to hit that goal before the year closes. So if you aren't subscribed to the channel, please do so, and don't forget to like, comment, and share. Thanks for joining us as we head towards this huge milestone.